Is it okay if I set it here?
It's cool on the side. Or him to hit it, and it distorts your sound.
Okay. Is that
That
okay
way,
then?
yes. I just need him to be able to.
Good afternoon. I want to thank all of you for being here today. I am honored to serve as Montgomery's Chief of Police, and I appreciate your commitment to staying informed as we work together to keep our city safe and as we begin the new year. All of us, my team and me, have a vision. We have a vision for the Montgomery Police Department in 2026, and it is a clear vision. It is our highest priority to serve and protect the people of this city. Our goal is to keep people safe while increasing and improving our capabilities and responses to crime. Every decision we make, every initiative that we launch, and every hour that we spend on the street is rooted in protecting lives, building trust, and serving with integrity. We will continue to work to the highest standards of our profession and to work closely and effectively with our federal, state, and local partners. Part of our path forward is ensuring that our officers have the tools, training, and leadership that they need to succeed. We are committed to creating opportunities for them to learn, grow, and proactively combat crime. I want to thank Mayor Stephen Reed for his unwavering support of our mission and support of the men and women who serve this community. One way we are acting on this vision is, and we are strengthening our ranks because we are wanting to get highly skilled officers directly related to our SWAT team. On January 4th, we launched a new lateral program. It's for law enforcement professionals who have SWAT certifications. It is designed for experienced operators with advanced tactical training who can step directly into our SWAT environment and into the ranks of our SWAT officers. They would have to complete a hiring process, and they would have to pass rigorous tryouts. And if you're out there listening to this and you have the experience and training and the drive to join Montgomery SWAT, then we are ready to hear from you. And I would, of course, encourage you and anybody interested who qualifies to go to joinmgmblue.com to apply for a job to join our SWAT team. Now, we are constantly moving forward because we are going to be moving all of our targeted efforts against crime. And we want to send a clear message. And that message is eluding arrest is temporary and apprehension is inevitable. Now, I have some updates I'm going to talk about related to the last couple of weeks, and I'm going to give them to you, and I'm also going to talk some updates related to the overall year 2025. Now, between November 2025 and January 5th, we have cleared over and closed over 103 felony cases and arrested 61 individuals in relation to those cases. Now, one thing that was interesting in the statistics related to those arrests is that Unfortunately, 8 of those people arrested were juveniles who had to be charged as adults because they committed these offenses. And 8 of the individuals who were arrested in these cleared cases faced 3 or more felony charges and felony cases directly related to their conduct. Our most recent homicide investigations that we're working on is the unfortunate homicide of Jalen Sanders, age 20, who was murdered on December 29, 2025 in the 6900 block of Lakeview Drive. And, of course, Rasheem Smith, age 40, who also was murdered on November 25th, 2025 in the 2900 block of Steeplechase Lane. Now, those cases are under investigation, and we would, of course, ask everybody who has any information to call Crime Stoppers at 215-STOP. Of course, we are still investigating every case that we have over the course of the year that is not yet cleared, and we're going to continue to get the individuals responsible who might have committed these offenses. One thing people should be aware of is that in 2025, we arrested multiple individuals for homicides committed in 2024. And in 2026, we will arrest individuals for any crimes that they committed in 2025 when we come across them and the cases allow it. In fact, one thing I will talk about is that fact that we, in the same time period, did make 3 arrests related to homicides in this city. Nasty Brown, age 18, was charged with capital murder related to the death of Tyrell Foster, age 15, on November 14, 2025 in the 3500 block of Fairground Road. Suspect Command Johnson, age 31, is charged with capital murder related to the death of Adicia Robbins, age 28, on November 28, 2025 in the 2600 block of Shadowwood Court. We arrested a juvenile male and charged him with murder, discharging a firearm into an occupied vehicle, and 2 counts of attempted murder related to the death of Kashabi Perkins Jr., age 19, on November 21st, 2025 in the 4600 block of Mobile Highway. I still feel this way. 1 homicide is too many, and you can never cease your efforts in doing everything not only to reduce them, but to go after those responsible. Each case is being handled with the utmost care by our CID division, and we will not cease until every individual related is caught and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. If anybody hearing this has any information related to any of our open cases, please contact 215-STOP. Your courage to speak out will save lives and help make Montgomery safer. In the same time period, traffic safety has also been a priority. Since November 24th, 2025, our traffic units have worked over 888 traffic accidents and have issued over 1,304 citations alone. That's a lot of accidents. Please start being more careful. Be careful when you're driving. Pay attention to things like traffic lights and traffic signals. Last year alone, we issued well over 50,000 traffic citations related to people running red lights. Observe the rules of the road, because 888 traffic accidents in that time period is, as far as I'm concerned, too many. Now, through our exhibition driving detail, we've also issued 1,730 citations. So that's in addition to the number I just gave you before. We've recovered stolen vehicles. We've impounded weapons in vehicles. We've executed multiple arrests for misdemeanor offenses, for failure to appear in court, and executed felony warrants with these stops on our exhibition driving detail. We're going to continue to make Montgomery Street safer through the dedication of our traffic officers, proactive enforcement, and the dedication of our patrol officers on patrol every day. But I want to talk about the year 2025. In 2025, Montgomery Police Department answered 157,807 calls for service. All calls answered and under all conditions. We are committed to our community. Year to year, we saw some of the following results that I also want to discuss. We had 61 homicides in 2025. That shows a flat, no change over the 61 homicides that we had in 2024. And while the number was lower than what took place in 2023 or 2022 or 2021, as far as I'm concerned, it's still too high and needs to be driven lower. And we are going to make every effort that we can to drive them lower. But some of those efforts are going to also require some community involvement that I'm going to discuss. Because overall, our violent crime numbers did drop by 25%. The notable drops that drove that number I just gave you is a 42.4% drop in robberies and a 17% drop in aggravated assaults over the course of the year. We're going in the right direction because these drops are in light of those calls. It's showing the direction is trending downward. However, as far as I'm concerned, it's still too high, and we've got to do everything we can to drive it even lower, both through our proactive enforcement and through making arrests of the individuals responsible. Some of the things that we did when we studied some of the homicides that took place in 2025 relayed the following information that I wish to say today. We noted that 66% of all the homicides last year, the victim and the suspect knew each other. We were able to confirm that through people we've arrested and the cases that we worked. 66% of the people we know and confirm knew each other. 5% of these cases, we can confirm that they were stranger involved. 5%. The other 29% of the cases, we are still establishing the relationships between the suspects and the victims while we're investigating and closing those cases. Now, from what I've seen, more than likely a majority of those are going to be people knowing each other as well, from what we've seen initially. 5% of people being strangers. The relationship between the suspects and the victims are important to note because in a majority of these violent incidents, firearms were utilized. We have to make sure that we're talking about this violence because, unfortunately, too often, based on what I've just stated, it's close to home. And the prevention is going to start with awareness and intervention and people being willing to put their guns down. I call out for folks to do that. Talk to the people you know. Put your guns down. Because if most of our homicides and most of our assaults are people knowing each other, then we have to rethink the way we're talking to each other and treating each other and how we react to things that make us upset. People have to have these tough conversations. And as I stated, in a majority of these incidents, firearms were utilized. The current lack of an ID requirement creates serious challenges for law enforcement and grave consequences for public safety. I want to urge our community to have honest conversations with friends, coworkers, community leaders, and legislators about how we can strengthen laws to reduce violent crime. Chat with our officers to understand the frustrations that come with limited authority under current law. This is not just an MPD or a Montgomery issue. It requires community effort. Positive change will help law enforcement agencies across the state, city, and the county. We support mandatory identification requirements for anyone carrying a firearm. This would give officers the ability to remove guns from violators and reduce violent crime in a very proactive way. I want to encourage citizens in May to voice their concerns about firearms and ID requirements to their elected leaders and even to the judges. Get the word out there. We need to have it. If you're tired of having somebody walk in your neighborhood with a gun just out in the street, if the officer has to wait till somebody either points that gun or pulls the trigger, then it's too late. Have the conversations. The law needs to give us the power that we need to do to be proactive. I want to also encourage citizens to vote in May because the expansion of Anaya's law, it will remove the opportunity for violent offenders to bond out and revoke their ability to endanger our community. So get out there in May and vote. vote for the passage of that law, vote for that expansion, because it will only assist the community and ourselves. Now, I'm about to close, but before I do, I'm going to be revealing something that is not very well known, but that I intend to become well known. It's something that was developing literally recently, I would say. I want to profusely start out, before I even say what I'm going to, by thanking Mayor Stephen Reed for his unceasing support of our agency and unceasing support of public safety in the city of Montgomery, because without his ceaseless efforts, without the work that he personally put in what I'm about to say, I would not be able to make this announcement that I'm going to make right now. Montgomery is going to be starting a program directly related to retention and recruitment bonuses to be paid to officers. That will apply to lateral hires. It will apply to new hires who successfully complete the police academy, and it will apply to the officers and the men and women who are sworn in this police department to retain that expertise and that skill level that they have brought all these years to us. Like I stated before, we are going to be implementing a retention and recruitment bonus to our officers, and we are very excited about it. Now, I'm going to close my speech presently and state, as I close, I want to say this: the Montgomery Police Department is strong, and we are moving in a positive direction. I am confident in our officers and in the partnerships that we share with this community. Thank you for your trust. Thank you for your support. And thank you for being here today. And God bless Montgomery, and God bless the state of Alabama. I'll open up for questions. Yes.
I wanted to ask about, you were talking about the extension of the NICE law. I know you and I sat down and talked about that, as well as the concealed carry permit, and how changing that would help you all do your jobs better. Can you tell us about the work you've been doing in the last couple of months? I know the legislative session starts next week, so these things are going to be discussed right up the hill. Can you just tell us about the work that you've been doing?
Yeah, I've been fortunate to be able to meet with various members, both of the legislature and also various professional organizations directly tied to law enforcement throughout the state, to discuss these issues, specifically the issue of the ID requirement when carrying a firearm. In fact, everybody's on board with it because everybody sees the issues that we've been having. The fact is that the ID requirement allows you to verify that the individual that you are encountering who's carrying, let's say, a gun in some neighborhood, or a gun on Southern Boulevard, or a gun in some other town, is actually legally allowed to even have that weapon, because you need that ID requirement to be able to check them against a certain person's forbidden list in an effective and proactive way. So the thing that we've been talking about is, of course, making sure that there is a law on the books that gives the police officers the power to hold people accountable who want to hide their identity by not carrying an ID and yet still walk around brandishing a firearm.
And then the next step with that would be obviously the public speaking up to people and voting.
Right. We need the public to speak up to people, because the ID requirement needs to become a law. Now, there are proposed bills that are being worked on to hopefully, I hope they would get introduced. I obviously am not a legislator, so I can't say what will be introduced and what will not, though I am advocating for a law or a bill to be introduced that would advocate for an ID requirement. But the thing about it is to get that done, the public has to speak and people have to hear from them. At the same time, the public will have to speak by voting in a meaningful way, by voting to pass Anaya's law expansion. So please get out there, get involved, talk to people. Do not hesitate, because even though I'm going to talk to everybody I can talk to, it's going to be even that much more effective if all of us work together and talk to everybody we know and everybody we connect with.
You have been vocal about your recruiting for the police department as well. Birmingham's police chief now says that his force is fully staffed. I mean, you mentioned the bonuses and stuff like that, and the hiring bonus as well. But what have you and your staff been doing to make progress towards having that fully staffed?
Well, we are making progress. I mean, one of the things that we can state unequivocally is that we saw our recruiting go up this year. I have even 84 people in the process right now that are trying to become, both police officers and professional staff with our agency. We have actually created a rolling recruiting methodology that has been allowing us to grow our agency. So we've been growing our numbers. Now, one of the reasons we are announcing the bonus is because we want to grow it even faster. Now, you mentioned Birmingham. One thing I know about Birmingham is roughly about a year and a half ago was when they started announcing their program. So the way I'm looking at it with the progress that we've made, I figure that we can have some very awesome results if we start doing a bonus ourselves. And the mayor, of course, thought this because he's pushed it, he's worked on it very hard and ceaselessly. And like I stated, without his support and efforts, I wouldn't be able to announce what I'm announcing to you right now. So we're looking very forward to, we've had good results, but we're looking forward to the fact that we believe that this will really give us an even faster results towards where we want to go. Yes, sir.
On a greater note, 1 year ago today, as a matter of fact, it was official. You were named the new police chief here from him. Your remarks as you look back over this year.
As I look back over this year, I will tell you this has been a very rewarding year for me. I took this job specifically to serve the citizens of this city and the men and women of this police department. That's my motivation. That's why I get up in the morning. And that has not stopped at all. I won't lie, it has times been a very difficult job with very long hours, but it is so worth it because one of the things that we have seen over the course of this year has been the progress we are making. It's been the men and women that I've been working with in this department who I believe are the finest men and women that I've had the privilege of working alongside. It's seeing their efforts, and that motivates me even further. I have the finest staff. They're all standing back there if you want to pan the cameras back. I have the finest staff that I can imagine in this police department. I have wonderful chiefs, I have wonderful majors and wonderful captains, and I tell you, the privilege I have of working with these men and women is second to none, and I'm very appreciative of this past year. We'll keep moving forward, though, because we've made progress, but I'm sorry, but I want to make even triple or double the progress this year that we made last year.
You mentioned
Yes, sir.
the progress that you've made with violent crimes and stuff like that, and you also did mention that, unfortunately, that total number of murders number, that 61 number, didn't change between 2024 and 2025. What are you and your staff going to be doing, maybe the same or different, going forward into 2026?
What we're going to do different, first of all, what we did this past year was very effective, but the thing is you always have to look for even more effective ways to deal with things. And one of the things that we're going to be doing is, and we started building on it last year, but we're going to be building it even going forward, is our targeted enforcement of the worst of the worst. Basically, as we know who the folks are who are committing the crimes, we want to go out and arrest them. And we're going to be building every case we can to target the individuals that are the most violent, that are the most proactive, regardless of whether they're getting arrested and then getting right back out. We'll go after them when they get right back out then. As I stated earlier, a person can get away for a little bit, but arrest is going to be inevitable. And that's the policies that we're going to be pursuing. Basically utilizing every resource, every partnership that we have with our federal partners, every partnership that we have with our state partners, and with our local and our county partners, we are going to utilize to go after people who are committing crimes. And the thing about it is that the number, as you mentioned, not changing, that speaks to something that really is not just us going after the people responsible. People have to take a hand in it. If you notice, most robberies are usually crimes that are committed by strangers to strangers. Those have dropped by 42%. I mean, those have dropped significantly. Why? Because we were arresting the robbers, right? Aggravated assaults, that's a little bit more personal, but you're able to drop them because a lot of times when you're going after a lot of the stranger offenses, it's really even in some ways more simple to catch the bad guy. But to prevent a homicide from people who know each other. Let's say they're in a domestic relationship or they are friends and they get in an argument. You know, the person who we end up charging, let's say with manslaughter or murder, might not have started the night or the day intending to murder their friend, but then they got into a fight and then they pulled a gun out and they pulled a trigger and, oh, the bullet, instead of going into that person's arm, went into their heart. You know, a lot of times people don't think through their actions, and that relates directly to interpersonal relationships. So the thing about it is we're going to do everything we need to do to arrest bad guys and to arrest people who commit murder or who commit violent offenses. And that's why the numbers will trend down. But people themselves have to start taking actions with their loved ones, with their friends. Sometimes put guns down. I mean, think about this. If you're going to go someplace that you think you need to carry a gun, maybe you don't need to go to that place. Maybe that's a party you don't need to go to. If you think if I got to go to a party and carry a gun at a party, maybe that's a party I don't want to go to, or maybe that's a club I don't need to go to. People have to start taking some accountability and responsibility for who they're associating with and what they allow their friends to do. So the thing is, it's going to take a big effort and a constant effort. We are going to do everything we can to make sure that that number of homicides drops this year. We are not going to take no for an answer. We are not going to stop until we get it dropped.
Chief, mentioning the numbers, it was said that our officers, the numbers, what can you release in saying that? What was the cause of maybe those numbers with officers present going down? Can you say something?
When you said the question, can you clarify that?
That the numbers have started to decline a little bit, that officers were leaving.
No, that's not what I was talking about. I was talking about numbers declining in crime. Our officer numbers have been improving.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah, that's why I was trying to figure out. Now, some of our crime numbers are declining, and that is noticeable. Okay, but we've had good results. Like I said, in 2025, we had very good results with our recruiting. So we are trending in an upward manner as far as recruiting goes. We've hired more people every month than we have lost. So we've been seeing some really good recruiting efforts and growth. We've been growing our personnel, not just our officers, but also our civilian professional support staff. They've been growing as well as our correction staff. So those are going in the right direction. But the thing about it is, like I stated earlier, by having a bonus and by putting that out there, then you do two things. One, you give such a generous pay package, you attract people and you attract even more recruiting. And at the same time, you retain your professional staff, you retain your police officers who have experience and know what they want to do and want to stick around for that. So that's the way we're going with it.
And the cases that remain unsolved in 2025, how are you and your staff making progress on those cases and then going forward into 2026?
We are going to make progress on those cases because the thing about it is that a homicide case doesn't just go away. We leave a homicide case open until we solve it, no matter how long it takes to solve it. Like I stated earlier, in 2025, we arrested many people for homicides that took place in 2024. We arrested people for homicides that took place even years earlier than that. This year, in 2026, we'll be arresting people for homicides that took place in 2025. Just as like, unfortunately, if there are any homicides in 2026, we'll arrest anybody that we have to do that. But there is no time limit on a homicide arrest. When somebody commits homicide, we are going to investigate that case, follow every bit of evidence till we solve it and charge the individual responsible. We're good. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great day.